back to the Daily Grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. You know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Former UFC middleweight champion Luke Rockhold, who's scheduled to fight David Branch this weekend, headlining the fight night card in Pittsburgh. Co-main event is Mike Perry versus Thiago Alves. He talked to MMA Junkie Radio and he had some things to say about George St. Pierre. Not too good things. If you don't know the history, George St. Pierre was a middleweight who's coming back out of retirement. He left as the champion. He's coming back now to a higher division, and he's skipping a lot of these middleweight contenders, and he's getting a title shot versus Michael Bisping at Madison Square Garden, UFC 217. So a lot of these middleweight contenders are a little salty. A lot of them have been taking shots at the fight, saying George St. Pierre doesn't deserve the fight. Luke Rockhold is one of the guys in particular. Dana White came out and said, why is he saying talking about deserving when he got knocked out by Michael Bisping, which is how Luke Rockhold lost his world title to Michael Bisping. So Luke Rockhold saying that he thinks George St. Pierre's a joke. George St. Pierre's not going to show up to the fight, and when he doesn't, he'll be there to fill in. Now, that's interesting. It's good to know, because Luke Rockhold versus Michael Bisping would be a good solid replacement because of the history there. Michael Bisping, you know, it would be a trilogy fight, so it is a big fight. Is it as big as George St. Pierre? Probably not, but it's arguable, but probably not, because George St. Pierre has an entire country behind him. George St. Pierre was the former king. George St. Pierre's coming back out of retirement. George St. Pierre's that guy right now. Michael Bisping, but that's the thing. George St. Pierre hasn't even ever made this weight. We haven't, I mean, he was supposed to fight earlier in the year, but he was unable to due to an injury. So Luke was just saying, if you can't fight, I'll be there. And either way, that's good for us. It says the main event will be saved, and it's a great replacement. It might not be the same thing, but like I said, man, it'll be a trilogy fight. Luke Rockhold beat Michael Bisping in the first fight, got knocked out by Michael Bisping in the second fight. Michael Bisping shocked the world, and Luke Rockhold hasn't fought since then, though. That's one thing I'll say. Luke Rockhold, ever since he got knocked out by Michael Bisping, he hasn't fought again. So there's been a lot of contenders in this division. It was a little stagnant for a while. There was Yoel Romero, Jacare, Luke Rockhold, and Chris Weidman. Now it started to shake up as a lot of those guys took fights, and some of them lost. Actually, I think all of them have lost. Yep, all of them have lost. Jacare lost to Robert Whittaker. Yoel Romero lost to Robert Whittaker, and Chris Weidman lost to Gegard Mousasi and Yoel Romero. Now Luke Rockhold's the only guy who hasn't taken a fight out of those four, but now he's taking a fight versus David Branch. David Branch is on an 11-fight win streak, although 10 of those wins were in the World Series of Fighting. He's still a veteran. He's a seasoned veteran. He's got a split decision victory over Krzysztof Jotko in the UFC, his most recent fight. Put him on an 11-fight win streak. So Luke Rockhold has his hands full with David Branch, and he doesn't want to look past him. That's one thing I will say, because Luke Rockhold did just get knocked out in the first round by Michael Bisping. Nobody expected that to happen, but you have to wonder what happens if David Branch touches that chin. You know what I'm saying? Because when people look at Michael Bisping, he's not known for his knockout, or he's not even known for knocking guys out. And for him to do that to the champion Luke Rockhold in the first round, man, you got to be careful. So don't look past your current opponent. David Branch is what I would say, because he's a game opponent. He used to be in the UFC before he was in the World Series of Fighting. He was 2-1 when he got cut, so it's not even like he was doing terrible. He lost to Husam Alpahars, if I remember correctly. Then he went to the World Series of Fighting. The only person he's lost to since like 2013 was Rumble Johnson outside of the UFC. So David Branch, man, I haven't seen many of his fights, but I am looking forward to this fight a lot coming up this weekend. Luke Rockhold, he might, I don't know. This is one thing. I wonder if Luke Rockhold feels like he's going to guaranteed beat David Branch, because he hasn't taken a fight since he lost the title. And now, instead of fighting like Chris Weidman or another one of those guys that are already in the top 5, why is he fighting David Branch? You know, when you haven't fought nobody in this long, it's like, feel like you can beat him, so you're taking the fight, or what? I don't know. It's interesting. But if he does feel like he can beat him, that might be why he's looking past David Branch, talking about filling in for GSP whenever he doesn't make it to Madison Square Garden. But if you lose to David Branch, there will be no filling in for GSP for you, buddy. So it is what it is. Let the haters know what the fuck you tap at in the comments, dude. As an airplane is about to crash, a female passenger jumps up frantically and announces, "If I'm going to die, I want to die feeling like a woman." She removes all of her clothes. "Is there someone on this plane who's man enough to make me feel like a woman?" A man jumps up and removes his shirt and says, "Here, iron this."